Have you ever felt like God was speaking directly to you, but no one else could hear it? Like you've been hidden, overlooked, or spiritually paused, while others seem to be moving ahead? Let me tell you, that's not abandonment, it's alignment. This isn't just another video, it's a divine signal. If it found you, it's because you're being called. But in silence, chosen, sealed, set apart for something heaven doesn't want exposed yet. There's a movement happening right now that no one is talking about because it's not for everyone. It's only for those who've been placed in the vault, for those being reprogrammed, repositioned, and realigned in secret by God Himself. And if your spirit feels this word, don't ignore it. In the next few minutes, you're going to discover why you've been isolated, why the silence hurts so much, and why heaven has been watching everything. You'll learn the real reason you can't tell everyone what God told you, why your obedience in private carries more power than public applause, and how your entire life is about to be relocated mentally, spiritually, emotionally, even physically. Stay with me until the very end, because the final instruction will unlock the confirmation you've been begging heaven for. Don't scroll, don't delay. This was only for your eyes. There's a moment in every chosen one's life when they begin to realize that their journey isn't random, it's orchestrated. From the very beginning, before you ever took your first breath, God had already carved your name into His divine plan. This is not some motivational phrase to make you feel good. It's a biblical truth. Jeremiah 1-5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." That means you've been appointed, handpicked, destined. But here's the twist. Your calling doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it comes wrapped in silence, isolation, and deep spiritual discomfort. That's not punishment. That's preparation. When you feel invisible, ignored, or overlooked, that's when heaven is the most focused on you. Imagine for a moment a soldier being trained for a secret mission. He's not paraded in public. He's not making headlines. He's hidden in a place of discipline, being shaped for something only he was born to do. That's exactly what God does with His chosen ones. He isolates before He elevates. He whispers before He commands the storm. It's in those hidden seasons that the most sacred instructions are delivered. Just look at Moses. Before he faced Pharaoh, he faced 40 years of silence in the desert, Exodus 3. That's not wasted time. That's sacred timing. God doesn't rush maturity. He refines it. And let's be honest, this phase is uncomfortable. You pray, but the answers don't come fast. You move in faith, but no doors swing open. You're obeying, but there's no recognition. And still, God sees it all. This season might feel like you're tucked away in the shadows, but that's where the true warriors are forged. In silence, in sweat, in trust. God is teaching you to walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5-7. You're learning to hear His voice in the stillness and obey it without needing confirmation from man. That's not weakness. That's spiritual excellence. That's divine training. You see, when God chooses someone, He doesn't just hand them the microphone. He hands them a shovel and says, "Dig deeper." Because the depth of your private obedience will always determine the weight of your public impact. You're not just being prepared for applause, you're being prepared for responsibility. And believe me, it takes faith to obey when there's no audience. When your only applause is the whisper of the Holy Spirit saying, "Well done." That's the level of maturity God is building in you. You're not forgotten. You're being fashioned. You're not being denied. You're being developed. And it's all part of the divine schedule. So the next time you feel overlooked, remember this. Heaven doesn't measure progress by popularity. God doesn't crown the loudest. He crowns the most obedient, especially when no one's watching, especially when it hurts, especially when it costs you everything. Because what you're carrying is too sacred to be rushed. You are not in a delay, you are in divine alignment. And once that private preparation is complete, everything will change. But for now, lean in, trust deeper, and get ready. Because this is just the beginning. Up next, we're stepping into the mystery and power of what I call the vault season. Let's talk about a mystery that very few understand, the vault season. When God places you in the vault, it's not rejection, it's divine reservation. You're not being shelved, you're being sealed, hidden, guarded, covered, and just. Like a vault protects its most valuable treasures, so does God protect His chosen ones when they are too sacred to be exposed. Think of Noah. Before the flood came, he was instructed to build the ark in secret, Genesis 6. He wasn't trending. He wasn't validated, but he was chosen. God didn't need the world to understand him. He only needed Noah's obedience. That's the vault. Obedience in isolation. Preparation in silence. It's not a punishment, it's a privilege. You might feel like you've been locked away from opportunity, applause, and affirmation. But I need you to hear this, that hiddenness is holy. You're not invisible, you're being incubated. You're not abandoned, you're being anointed in silence. When Jesus Christ was baptized, the heavens opened and God affirmed him publicly. But the Spirit immediately led him into the wilderness, Matthew 4:1. Why? Because what God affirms, he also tests. And what he hides, he honors. This vault season is where you're being rewired mentally, spiritually, emotionally. It's where distractions die and discernment grows. Don't rush it. Don't resent it. It's sacred. Now here's the hard truth. Not everyone is built for the vault. Some crave visibility so badly, they break out before their anointing is mature. That's dangerous. Just like wine, your calling needs time to ferment. You can't serve it before it's ready. Mary, the mother of Jesus, carried the Son of God in secret for 9 months. She didn't go live. She didn't post. She pondered things in her heart, Luke 2:19. Why? Because sacred assignments require spiritual discretion. When God hides you, He's not denying you. He's trusting you with something that could be destroyed by premature exposure. And you know what's even more powerful? Heaven is recording every moment of your vault season, every quiet yes, every silent sacrifice, every tear you wipe without a witness. God sees it all. You're not just being preserved, you're being prepared for a stage your enemies won't be able to touch. Just like David in the pasture before Goliath. Just like Joseph in prison before Pharaoh. Just like Jesus in Nazareth before the cross. These are vault seasons. And if you're in one, take heart, because when God finally opens that vault, the world won't be ready for what's inside. So if you've been asking, why does it feel like I'm buried? Know this, seeds aren't buried to die, they're buried to grow. And you, my friend, are sprouting in secret. The vault isn't the end. It's the sacred hallway to your next assignment. Stay obedient, stay hidden, stay faithful. Because next, we're diving into why your vision must be protected before it ever becomes public. One of the greatest tests of your spiritual maturity isn't just receiving a vision from God, it's knowing when to reveal it and when to guard it with everything you've got. Not every revelation is meant for public consumption. Some are sacred scrolls sealed for appointed times. Just because God spoke it doesn't mean you post it. That urge to share prematurely often exposes the vision to hands that were never meant to hold it. Remember Joseph? He shared his dream with his brothers, and instead of celebrating, they plotted to destroy him. Genesis 37:5-20. That wasn't rejection, it was a warning. There are some visions so holy, they must be protected like a newborn child. When God gives you something pure, you become its gatekeeper. Your silence becomes your shield. Your discernment becomes its armor. This isn't secrecy birthed in fear, it's wisdom rooted in obedience. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." In the same way, guard your vision. Not everyone around you has the spiritual capacity to honor what God has whispered to you. Some people are so broken, they interpret your promise as a threat. Others are so spiritually dull, they trample pearls like pigs. Matthew 7:6. God didn't ask you to explain your vision, He asked you to steward it. Now, let's get practical. Before you share that divine idea, ask yourself, who's in the room? Are they consecrated or just curious? Are they aligned with your assignment? Or are they spectators? Even Jesus Christ didn't perform every miracle in public. In Mark 5:40, when he raised Jairus' daughter, he put the mockers out of the room first. Why? Because doubt contaminates the atmosphere of the miraculous. Sometimes, protecting the vision means cleaning the room before you speak. It means knowing when to sit on something holy until God says, "Now." And believe me, He will say it, but in His timing. There's a reason God speaks in whispers. It forces you to lean in. It builds intimacy. And that's what He wants. With you, not noise, but nearness. So when He gives you a dream, a calling, an assignment, don't treat it casually. Protect it with fasting, with prayer, with worship. Journal it, pray over it, declare it in your private time. But don't rush to expose it. Spiritual immaturity screams for approval. Spiritual discernment waits for God's release. And when He's ready to make it public, no devil in hell can stop it. So if you've been feeling the pressure to prove something, pause. You don't need a platform. You need a prayer life. You don't need validation. You need vision. Your silence isn't weakness, it's warfare. Because what you're carrying is too sacred to be exposed to shallow waters. Keep it close. Keep it consecrated. And now, let's move into the mark of true spiritual growth: silent obedience. Let's be real, anyone can obey when there's applause. Anyone can say yes to God when there's an audience clapping, a spotlight shining, and a stage waiting. But the true test of spiritual depth, obedience in the dark, obedience with no confirmation, no praise, no evidence. That's when spiritual maturity is revealed, not by your public declarations, but by your private devotion. In Matthew 6:6, Jesus Christ taught, "But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you." That's the divine equation. Secret obedience equals heavenly recognition. Silent obedience isn't passive, it's potent. It's the kind of faith that moves without needing a crowd. It's waking up at 3 a.m. because the Holy Spirit whispered something urgent. It's sowing seeds with no one watching. It's forgiving the unforgivable without making an Instagram story about it. That's spiritual muscle. That's maturity. Obeying God when it costs you everything and no one even knows. That's what separates the spectators from the surrendered. God sees it. God honors it. And in His timing, He rewards it. Faith without works is dead, James 2:26. But faith with quiet obedience, that's power in motion. You know what's ironic? The more mature you become in the Spirit, the less you need validation. In fact, you almost avoid it, because you know that too much noise can interfere with God's voice. That's why Jesus often withdrew to lonely places to pray, Luke 5:16. He wasn't avoiding people, He was prioritizing presence. If the Son of God needed solitude to align with the Father's will, how much more do we? So when God says, "Go left," you don't post about it, you move. When He says, "Let go," you release without explanation. That's the kind of faith that makes hell nervous. Let's break it down even further. Silent obedience looks like staying when everyone tells you to leave. It looks like sowing into someone else's dream while yours is still in seed form. It's blessing those who curse you without seeking revenge. It's honoring leadership, even when they don't see your value. These are kingdom principles, radical, upside down, countercultural. But they are deeply rooted in the teachings of Jesus. He didn't come to be served, but to serve. Mark 10:45. And if we're really following Him, then silent service is not beneath us, it's our call. So if you're walking through a season where your yes is costing you, but no one's clapping, rejoice. You're not behind, you're ahead. Because silent obedience is spiritual warfare in disguise. It's maturity manifesting without noise. And trust me, heaven is not ignoring you. Heaven is recording every quiet surrender. And now, you're being prepared for something greater. Let's move deeper into the realm of divine relocation, where God shifts everything. Not just your zip code, but your entire identity. Divine relocation isn't just about moving from one place to another, it's about God repositioning your soul for the next assignment. It's not just physical, it's mental, emotional, and deeply spiritual. Sometimes God will shift you out of comfort, not to punish you, but to promote you. Just like Abraham, who was told, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you," Genesis 12:1. No GPS, no explanation, just faith. That's divine relocation. When God says leave, it's not rejection, it's redirection. And sometimes the place you're in can't contain who you're becoming, so He moves you. For your sake, for your calling, for His glory. But here's the thing, most people don't realize relocation starts in the mind. Before God shifts your surroundings, He will always shift your mentality. He can't place you in new territory with old thinking. You can't carry a wilderness mindset into the promised land. That's why Israel spent 40 years going in circles. They left Egypt physically, but Egypt never left their minds, Numbers 14. And God, in His mercy, won't promote what hasn't been renewed. Romans 12:2 reminds, "Used to be transformed by the renewing of our minds." That's the first relocation. So before God changes your environment, He changes your perspective. Then there's the emotional relocation. Oh, this one stings. God will call you to leave behind relationships, habits, and coping mechanisms that once comforted you. That's not cruelty. That's cleansing. He can't pour new wine into old wineskins. Luke 5:37. Sometimes you've got to walk away from people you love but who can't go where you're headed. That doesn't mean you're better. It means you're being rerouted. And yes, it's lonely. But isolation is often the final classroom before elevation. If your heart is breaking during this shift, know that even Jesus had to release people. Along the way, even those closest to Him. Next comes the spiritual relocation. This is where God pulls you out of dead atmospheres, stale churches, stagnant communities, dry altars. Why? Because what He's about to do in you requires fresh oil, new fire, deeper wells. You can't keep drinking from a source that no longer flows. So God will shake your foundations not to destroy you, but to dig new depths in your faith. He'll call you to fast again, pray differently, worship from a new place. And if you obey even trembling, He'll flood your soul with clarity and courage. Your spiritual coordinates are shifting, and your next encounter with Jesus will meet you on the other side of your obedience. So if your life feels unstable, don't panic. If you're being moved emotionally, mentally, geographically, don't resist. You're not being displaced. You're being divinely positioned. This isn't a detour. It's destiny. And as you settle into this new dimension, heaven is already preparing the platform for your next move. But before that manifestation comes, there's one more truth you must hold tightly. Heaven sees every secret sacrifice and is getting ready to reward it. There's something deeply comforting and incredibly sobering about knowing heaven is watching. Every hidden act of faith, every private tear, every battle you fought in silence, it's all being recorded. Not one sacrifice is wasted. Not one obedient yes goes unnoticed. Hebrews 6:10 says, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown Him as you have helped His people and continue to help them. That's not just poetry, it's a divine promise. God sees, and in due time He rewards. Even when the world doesn't clap, heaven is standing to its feet. You see, we live in a world that measures success by visibility, likes, followers, applause, but God's kingdom works upside down. He measures greatness by faithfulness, not followers, by obedience, not optics, by surrender, not selfies. So if you've been sowing in secret, fasting without flaunting, loving without recognition, keep going. You're not being overlooked. You're being observed by the only one whose opinion actually matters. And when God rewards, it doesn't come in crumbs. It comes in overflow. It comes pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Luke 6:38. Think about it. Jesus Christ healed countless people in silence. He told them, "Go and tell no one." Mark 1:44. Because the miracle wasn't for public display, it was a reward for private faith. The woman with the issue of blood didn't even speak. She just touched His robe in secret. Mark 5:27-29. And yet, heaven responded instantly. That's how God moves. He responds to quiet desperation, to secret prayers, to invisible devotion. So if you've been crying out in private, thinking God has forgotten, you're wrong. He's already preparing your reward. He's already planning how to display your story as a testimony of His glory. And when the reward comes, it won't just bless you, it'll silence your critics. It'll humble your enemies. It'll make those who doubted you realize it was God all along. But make no mistake, the reward isn't just physical. Yes, it may come as provision, opportunity, or restoration. But the true reward is peace that surpasses understanding, strength in the middle of storms, joy that defies circumstance. These are treasures the world can't touch, and they're reserved for those who obey in secret and remain faithful in the dark. So don't stop, don't doubt, don't detour. Every step you've taken in faith, even when no one saw it, is building a legacy that heaven is proud of. You are storing up treasures where moth and rust cannot destroy. Matthew 6:20. And just when you think you can't go any further, the breakthrough will come and it will be undeniably divine. But before we wrap this journey, there's one last step, a sacred invitation to act in faith and obedience right now, right here. This isn't just another video, and it's definitely not just another message, it's a divine encounter. If something inside of you stirred, that's not coincidence, that's God calling. And now, the next move is yours. The vault, the silence, the vision, the shift, the reward, they've all been building toward this moment. And now, heaven is waiting for your response. Not a loud one, not a flashy one, a holy one. A silent, sacred yes that only you and God can understand. Just like Samuel whispered in the night, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." 1 Samuel 3:10. This is your moment to whisper back, "I will obey." So here's what you do. Right where you are, stop and pray, not out of habit, but out of hunger. Ask God to confirm what you've heard. Ask Jesus Christ to guide you in the quiet places. Open your Bible. Revisit the verses you've heard today. Write them down. Reflect on them. Post them somewhere you'll see every morning. Let them become your compass, and then obey, not later. Not when it's convenient, now, because delayed obedience is still disobedience. God is not looking for perfection, He's looking for surrender. And He can do more with a surrendered heart than with a spotlighted one. If this message resonated with your spirit, don't just watch and scroll act. Engage. Declare your faith publicly, even as you obey privately. Leave a comment below with one of these declarations. 77 if you know this word was for you. Gracias Dios por la boveda if you recognize the vault season you're in. Elijo la obediencia silenciosa if you're choosing quiet obedience. Confio en la temporada oculta if you've been hidden and still trust Him. El cielo me ve if you believe heaven is watching. Estoy listo para la rubricación divina if you're ready to move into your next level. These are not just comments, they are acts of faith. And if you've been isolated and needed confirmation that you're not alone, let this be it. This movement may be only for your eyes, but you're part of a divine army scattered but connected by faith. Each silent warrior, chosen by God, placed in vaults, assigned visions, prepared in fire, and now activated. You're not late. You're right on time. You're not lost. You're being led. And the moment you say yes, all of heaven begins to move. So choose now, quietly but boldly, privately but purposefully. Don't wait for lightning or signs. The whisper was the sign. And as you take this step in secret, just know God will reward in public, just like He promised. But don't do it for the reward. Do it because you love Him. Do it because you trust Him. Do it because Jesus Christ already paid the highest price for your destiny. And if you obey now, you won't miss what's coming. So let's go, together, quietly, obediently, faithfully, because this movement was only for your eyes. Now it's your turn. What did God whisper to you during this message? Drop it in the comments. Share your experience. Speak your obedience into the atmosphere, even if no one around you understands it. And hey, don't just watch in silence. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and stay connected to every drop of revelation coming next. You don't want to miss what heaven's about to release. If this word found your spirit today, your next divine instruction might already be waiting for you in the next video that's appearing on the screen right now. Click it. This is Jose, and I'll see you in the silence, where God speaks the loudest.